Microsoft has just released Windows Server vNext Preview Build 29550, and this one's more important than at my luck. Not only does it introduce ReFS boot support, but it also reset the entire preview baseline, changes how upgrades work, and brings some platform improvements coming from the latest Windows development builds. So if you are an IT administrator, system engineer, or infrastructure architect, there's something in this build you absolutely need to know before deploying it in your lab. Let's break down everything new in Windows Server vNext build 29550. The biggest change in this release isn't feature, it's the new preview baseline. Microsoft confirmed that the build number 29531 establishes a brand new baseline for the Windows Server vNext Insider program. What does that mean? If you're running older preview builds, especially anything before build number 29531, upgrades are no longer supported. Instead, Microsoft recommends doing a clean installation of build number 29531 or later before upgrading to a new build like 29550. Why did they do this? According to Microsoft, earlier builds had upgrade reliability issues, especially impacting virtual machines, failover cluster, live migration scenarios. So the new baseline ensures future builds are much more stable for testing environments. Another major improvement is that Windows Update Lighting is now enabled again. Before this build, administrator testing server vNext often had to manually download the ISO images for every update. But starting with build number 29550, preview updates can once again arrive through Windows Update Lights. This makes testing much easier for IT labs and enterprise testing environments, since you can now stay up to date without consistently reinstalling the operating system. Now let's talk about the biggest storage change in this build. Microsoft has enabled ReFS boot for Windows Server vNext Preview builds. ReFS, the reinstall file system, was originally designed for higher reliability, improved data integrity, lower scale storage workloads. But historically, Windows Server still requires NTFS per boot volume. With build 29550, that installation is starting to change. Administrators can now experiment with booting Windows Server directly from a ReFS volume. However, there are some important limitations. ReFS boot systems now automatically create a minimum 2 GB of Windows Recovery Environment Partition, also known as WinRE. If this partition gets deleted and boot volume expands over it, the system cannot be recovered without performing a clean installation. So if you're automating deployments using PowerShell scripts, MDT, or custom imaging pipelines, make sure a partition layout accounts for this. Because Windows Server vNext shares its core platform with current Windows development builds, some underlying improvements are also appearing in this release cycle. For example, recycled platform builds include improved global power configuration behavior, reliability improvements in system components, better performance and stability inside the settings experience, update to emoji library and UI components. These changes are part of shared Windows platform development, meaning improvements tested in Windows Insider builds can eventually make their way into server environment as well. However, keep in mind that many of these client-side features are not particularly relevant for production server workloads. Most enterprise deployments will still rely on server core or minimal GUI environments. So if you want to test this build in your lab environment, Microsoft provides the link with several preview editions. You open your browser and search vNext 29550, and here is the link. Open it, and here you're gonna sign in with your Microsoft account. Now once you're logged in, scroll. And here you'll find download Windows Server Insider Preview build. Click in here, click on this drop down, and here you'll see many editions. You just select Windows Server vNext Preview ISO Canary, build number 29550, and click on confirm. And just select your language and click on confirm. And now click on download, and download will be started. So, while installing, you will see many options like Windows Server Standard, Windows Server Standard Desktop version, Windows Server Datacenter, and Windows Server Datacenter Desktop version. So, it should be used for testing environments. Microsoft specifically warns that insider builds are not supported for production workloads. So overall, Windows Server vNext build number 29550 may look like a small update, but it introduces some pretty meaningful changes. The biggest one includes a new preview baseline starting at build number 29550, Windows Update providing returns for easier update, early support for ReFS build volumes, platform improvements coming from the latest Windows development builds. All of these changes are paving the way for what will eventually become the next long-term servicing release of Windows 11 Server, currently branded as Windows Server 2025 preview builds. So what do you think about ReFS build finally coming to Windows Server? Is this something you would deploy in production down the road? Or are you sticking with NTFS for now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed deep dives into Windows updates, server releases, and insider builds, make sure to subscribe to Sudama Lab and turn the notification on so you don't miss the next upload. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.